My white sheets are 40 years old and they have never once gone yellow. Not the pillowcases, not the collars on my husband's Sunday shirts, not the christening gown three of my babies wore home from the hospital. People see them on the line and they think I buy new ones every spring. I don't. That same set has hung on that same line since 1985, and the trick that keeps them white was taught to me at a kitchen table by a woman who learned it during the Depression, when a white sheet had to last a family 15 years or more, and going yellow meant you'd failed at something a woman was expected to know. Today I'm going to show you exactly how it's done, and I'll tell you right now, it isn't bleach. Bleach is the reason your whites went yellow in the first place, and I'll explain why before we're through. Stay with me until the end, because the very last step is the one nobody talks about anymore, and it's the one that does most of the work. Skip that one and everything before it only gets you halfway. Here's the thing most people never understand about white sheet. White is not a color. White is the absence of buildup. A brand new pillowcase is white because there's nothing on it yet. No soap film, no body oil, no hard water minerals, no chlorine residue baked into the weave. Every single wash after that first one is a battle to keep the cotton clean without leaving something behind, and almost everything sold to you in that laundry aisle leaves something behind. That's not an accident. A product that truly left nothing behind would be a product you only had to buy once, and no company on earth builds its business on selling you something once. If you're getting value already, do me a small kindness and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because this is exactly the kind of old house wisdom I share here every week. The things our mothers and grandmothers knew that somehow got left behind. The yellowing you see on your whites isn't dirt. That's the first thing to understand. If it were dirt, it would wash out. Yellowing is chemistry. It's the slow oxidation of oils and residues left deep in the fibers, cooked in by hot water, and set permanently by the very bleach people reach for to fix it. That's the cruel joke of the whole thing. The bottle promising to whiten your whites is the bottle turning them the color of an old newspaper. Chlorine bleach reacts with the proteins in body oil and sweat, the ones that soak into a collar or a pillowcase over months, and instead of removing them, it fixes them in place as a yellow stain that will not come out no matter how many times you bleach it again. So you bleach it harder, and it gets worse, and eventually you throw the sheet away and buy a new one, which is exactly the outcome the whole arrangement was built to produce. Let me walk you through it the way it was walked through for me, one step at a time, the way she showed me at that table with a cup of coffee going cold between us. The woman who taught me kept her whites in a separate basket her whole life. Never once did a white sheet touch a colored towel in her wash water. She used to say the fastest way to ruin a white is to let it swim with something that bleeds. Even a pale blue washcloth gives off a little dye every cycle, and that dye settles into white cotton and dulls it to gray over a year. You won't see it happen in one wash. You'll see it a year later when you hold an old pillowcase next to a new one and wonder when it went dingy. Gray is the first stop on the road to yellow, so the very first step, before any trick or any powder, is to wash your whites alone. All of them together, nothing else in the drum. This one rule alone will do more than any product you can buy, and it costs you nothing but the discipline to keep a second basket. Now, the water. Hot water is what everybody thinks you need for whites, and it's exactly backwards. Hot water opens the cotton fibers and drives oils and residues deeper into the weave instead of lifting them out. It sets stains the way heat sets an egg in a pan. You would never pour boiling water on a blood stain or a grass stain because you know in your bones it locks it in. Body oil is no different. The old way was to wash whites in warm water, never scalding, and save the real cleaning power for what you put in the water, not the temperature of it. A gentle warm wash lifts the buildup out. A boiling wash bakes it in. The detergent companies push hot water because hot water breaks their detergent down faster, and you buy more of it. Everything in that aisle circles back to the same thing if you follow it far enough. Here's where the actual trick begins, and it costs about 11 cents a load. You take half a cup of plain white vinegar, the kind that sits on the shelf at the grocery for $1, and change a gallon, and you pour it right into the drum with your whites at the start of the wash. Not the fabric softener slot, not the bleach dispenser, right in with the clothes. Vinegar is a mild acid, and it does something no bleach can do. It dissolves the soap film and the hard water minerals that cling to cotton and turn it dull. Those minerals are half the reason your whites look tired. Most of the water in this country is hard, full of calcium and iron, and every load leaves a thin coat of those minerals behind, load after load, year after year, until the sheet looks like it's been dipped in weak tea. The iron, in particular, is what turns cotton that rusty, sallow color that people mistake for age. People blame the sheet for getting old when the sheet is perfectly fine underneath. It's just wearing a coat of the water it's been washed in, a coat that got a little thicker every wash until you couldn't see the white anymore. Strip the coat, and the white was there the whole time, waiting. The vinegar strips that coat clean away and leaves the cotton bare and bright the way it came off the bolt. Half a cup, straight in, every time. That's it. You'll worry it will smell? It won't. The vinegar rinses out completely and takes the musty smell of old detergent with it. Your whites come off the line smelling like nothing at all, which is exactly what clean is supposed to smell like. Everything else is perfume sold to cover up the residue nobody wanted to remove. Real clean has no smell. We just forgot that because we were taught by advertising to think clean smelled like a mountain spring or a field of lavender, when clean has never smelled like anything at all. That perfume doesn't rinse away either. It sits in the fibers right alongside the residue it was meant to hide. One more thing baked in by the dryer. One more layer between you and a truly white sheet. We're a good way in now. So, let me say this plainly. If a single thing here has been useful to you, tapping that like button truly does help more than you'd think, and it costs you nothing but a second. It's how these old ways find the next person who needs them. The second half of the trick is a yellow box that has sat on laundry shelves in this country for over 100 years. Washing soda, not baking soda, though the two are cousins. Washing soda is stronger, and it's what raises the water's ability to pull grease and oil out of cotton without any bleach at all. You add a quarter cup of it to the wash, along with your regular detergent, and you use half the detergent you normally would, because most people use far too much. That's a secret in itself. Too much detergent doesn't get clothes cleaner. It leaves a film the rinse can't fully carry away, and that film is one more layer building toward yellow. The dosing line printed on the cap is generous on purpose, set to empty the bottle faster than the load ever needed. Half the soap and a scoop of washing soda cleans deeper than a full dose ever did. She bought her washing soda 1 box a year, and 1 box lasted the whole year of Sunday washes for a family of 7. I remember the price on that box hardly moved for 30 years, a little yellow box that cost pennies, while the fancy whitener beside it kept climbing every single spring. That box outlasted 3 washing machines in her house and never once let her down. So now you have warm water, half your usual detergent, a quarter cup of washing soda to lift the oils, and half a cup of vinegar to strip the minerals. One thing, though, and this matters: you don't pour the vinegar and the washing soda in at the very same moment in the very same spot, because an acid and a base will fizz each other out if they meet head on. The washing soda goes in with the detergent at the start. The vinegar goes in a few minutes later once the drum is turning or into the rinse. Keep them a little apart, and each one does its own job. That combination alone will keep whites white for years. But there's one more piece, and it's the piece that was passed down as the real secret, the one the woman at that kitchen table lowered her voice to tell me, like it was something you weren't supposed to say too loud. The sun. Before we get to it, do me the kindness of subscribing and turning on that bell if you haven't yet, because the sun trick is the heart of everything, and I don't want you to miss what comes after it either. This is the part that most people have completely forgotten. You hang your whites outside in direct sunlight to dry, and you do it while they're still good and wet, not spun bone dry in a machine. The sun is the only true bleach that has ever existed that doesn't destroy the fabric doing it. Ultraviolet light breaks down the yellow-causing compounds in the cotton the way it fades a curtain over a summer. Except here, the fading is exactly what you want. It lifts the yellow cast right out of the weave and leaves the white brighter than it went up. And it costs nothing at all. It's been free since the beginning of the world, and it will be free long after the last bottle of bleach is sold. There is a reason every hospital and every fine hotel and every laundry that mattered dried its linens in the sun for 200 years before machines came along. They weren't being quaint. They knew the sun did something no chemical could. The reason it has to go up wet is that the moisture carries the sunlight's work down into the fibers instead of just skating across the dry surface. Damp cotton in full sun for a few hours in the middle of the day will come down whiter than anything a machine can produce. The women of that generation knew this in their bones. Walk past any farmhouse in July before the 1960s, and you'd see a line of white sheets snapping in the wind, glowing so bright it hurt to look at. That wasn't luck. That was a system, worked out over generations by women who couldn't afford to replace what they owned and so learned to keep it. There was pride in it, too. A woman's wash line was on display for the whole road to see, and a line of gray, tired sheets said something about a house that nobody wanted said about theirs. She told me the sharpest thing anyone could say about a neighbor back then was that her whites had gone the color of dishwater, and she made sure in her whole life no one ever said it about her. Come Monday morning, her line was the brightest thing on the street, and she earned it with a gallon of vinegar and an afternoon of good sun. Not a dime spent at the store. If you don't have a line, a railing works. A clean fence works. Even laying a pillowcase flat on the grass in the sun works. And the old-timers swore the chlorophyll in the grass helped the whitening along. What you cannot do is dry your whites in a hot machine dryer if you want them to stay white, because that heat does the same thing hot wash water does. It bakes any leftover residue in and sets any hint of yellow permanently. The dryer is where good whites go to slowly die. And the lint you clean out of that trap every load, that's your sheets and towels wearing away a little at a time, tumbling themselves thinner with every cycle. The sun never took a thread off anything. It only ever gave back. Now, let me tell you what to do when a white has already gone yellow, because most of you watching have a drawer of them right now, and you're wondering if they're past saving. They usually aren't. I've brought back sheets people had already folded up to use as drop cloths. You fill a basin or a clean sink with warm water, and you dissolve in it a scoop of washing soda and half a cup of vinegar, and you let the yellowed piece soak overnight, not an hour. Overnight, a full 8 hours or more, so the acid and the soda have time to work loose everything that got cooked into the fibers over the years. In the morning, you wash it as normal and hang it in the sun. Most yellowed whites come back 2 or 3 shades brighter from a single overnight soak, and a badly gone one might take 2 soaks across 2 days. But cotton is patient, and so was the woman who taught me. She never threw a sheet away for going yellow. She soaked it, she sunned it, and she put it back on the bed. If a stain is truly stubborn, a spot right on a collar or an underarm, you rub a little lemon juice into it and lay it in the sun wet, and the sun and the acid together lift what nothing else will. There's a reason none of this is common knowledge anymore, and it isn't because it stopped working. It works exactly as well today as it did in 1955. It stopped being common because there's no money in it. Nobody can sell you a gallon of vinegar at the price of a bottle of brand name whitener when the vinegar does the job better. Nobody profits when you hang your wash in the sun instead of running an electric dryer for 40 minutes. A whole industry was built on the promise of whiter whites. And the quiet truth is that the industry's own products, the hot water and the harsh bleach and the heavy perfumed detergent, are the very things turning your whites yellow in the first place. They sell you the disease and the cure in the same aisle, and they've been doing it so long that we forgot there was ever another way. The woman who taught me understood all of this without ever reading a label. She'd lived through years when a thing had to last because there was no money to replace it, and that hard schooling taught her more about cotton than any chemist knows. She kept her whites for decades. Her mother had kept them before her, and her mother before that, going back further than anyone could remember, each one passing the knowledge down at a kitchen table to a girl who would need it. And when she sat me down and taught me, she wasn't handing me a laundry tip. She was handing me a way of refusing to be told that everything you own is disposable and everything you need must be bought new. That refusal was the real inheritance. The vinegar and the sun were just how it showed up on wash day. We're nearly to the end, so let me gather it up for you simply. And then I've got one last thing to leave you with. Wash your whites alone, never with anything that bleeds. Wash them in warm water, never hot. Use half your normal detergent and add a 1/4 cup of washing soda to lift the oils. Pour in half a cup of white vinegar to strip the minerals and the soap film, keeping it a little apart from the soda so they don't cancel each other out. Skip the bleach entirely because bleach is what yellows cotton over time, not what saves it. And dry your whites in the sun while they're still wet, because sunlight is the only bleach that whitens without destroying. For whites already gone yellow, an overnight soak in washing soda and vinegar brings back what you thought was lost. That's the whole of it. 4 things you likely already have in your house: a clothesline and a little patience. No special product, no machine, no monthly cost. Just the same knowledge that kept a family's linens white through the hardest years this country ever saw, when keeping what you had was the only way through. There is nothing on this list a woman with empty pockets couldn't do in 1932, and there is nothing on it you can't do this Saturday. I'll leave you with the thing she said to me that I've never forgotten. She folded a white sheet, warm off the line, pressed it flat against her chest, and told me that a clean white sheet was the one luxury poverty could never take from a woman because it cost only water, sun, and the willingness to do the work with her own two hands. 40 years later, my sheets are still white, and every time I bring them in off the line, I think of her. And I think how strange it is that we paid so much to forget something that was always free. If this helped you see your own laundry a little differently, or reminded you of someone in your own family who kept a house the old way, I'd love it if you left a like so more folks can find this, and subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you don't miss the next one. Take care of yourselves and take care of the things that take care of you.